Never did none of them like him.
That's true.
They broke the mold.
Well, I hope that all of you have found this week to be a really interesting week. I have. You never know what's going to come forth from American politics or any other political area anyway. There's only one solution, as I say it, to the political. It's the spiritual. There's not a political answer to a political problem, because all political answers are just potential political problems for somebody else. The only answer would be the spiritual. Instead of separation, it would be oneness. And I think that there's a tendency for people like us and maybe a lot of people that are interested in things of spirit to say, well, that's not really applicable. You know, church and state, you know, we believe in division, which is probably a good idea, you know, at a practical level. But we need to go beyond the practical level sometimes. And when you see problems that seem bothersome, you need to remember there is only one answer, and it's got to be spiritual. And it may not be your spiritual view, but at least if it's spiritual, you got a chance. Right? If you don't have it spiritual, I don't forget it. You know what? Oh, I wanted we've been talking about these things, this kind of thing, about your perceptions of things and how they can be incorrect. Well, I wanted to draw a picture to kind of illustrate that. Maybe it will be helpful. Let's suppose that this is your mind. Let's suppose that this, I'll just draw some little buildings and things, you know, here. This, but like sky, like the skyline, that's the world. And I'm going to draw another mind over here. Mind A. Well, listen, well, I know I'm going backwards, but that won't hurt. And then another world over here with some more buildings and things, you know. Okay, and again, this represents the world. Now, the Course says the world has no meaning. And we look out upon it and we say, well, I think it does. It means this, that, and the other. And the food truck going to the grocery means I'm going to get to eat tomorrow because it's stocking up the shelves, whatever. What the Course says, and many and other teachings as well, but it says all the meaning this has comes from that mind. So the era represents the meaning. In other words, when you say, well, it means this, and you give it some meaning or other, it doesn't have any meaning. That's what really, when you say the world's not real, that's what you're saying. It doesn't have any meaning in and of itself. It's more like a blank chalkboard or something. You got to, before you write on it, it's just a blank chalkboard. Now, another mind can look at the same bunch of buildings and give it another meaning, some other this. And so here's another meaning, some other kind of meaning that this mind has given it. And they can be at odds with one another, or they could be about almost the same. It just very all things are possible in that regards. But the meaning comes from here and not here, and that's why I'm saying that the answer has got to be not political. Tries to affect these. I mean, it doesn't have much of a choice. It can't affect your mind. It's kind of hard. I mean, you know, you do laws, and you have laws, and you have enforcement, and you have structures, and you have all kinds of things in your societies. But spiritual teachings, or at least the Course in Miracles, wants to affect the mind. It says the answer is not out there. And there's And when you see some of these structures under duress, in other words, when you see some destruction, it could be destruction of the minor destruction of last week or the major destruction of a major war. You know, we think that's upsetting. What if bombs are coming down on you like every other night? You know, it can be a lot worse than that. I think 4 people were killed. Thousands of people could be killed in many conflagrations that we have. But at any rate, we don't really care for any of it. But so some amount of destruction, big to little, whatever, can occur here. And when that happens, you have some kind of reaction. What kind of reaction do you have? There are 2 possible ways to react, it seems to me. And we all know this. You can follow the Holy Spirit in terms of your reaction, or God, or Jesus, or the ego. This is the Course in Miracles makes it really simple for you in a way, and just says other distinctions are not particularly interesting. It's either coming from the ego, if it's your perception, or it's coming from God. If it's somebody else's, whatever they're doing, the same thing applies. I'm just saying that a spiritual answer is needed here. How are we going to get a spiritual answer into the world? You don't have to. You know why? The world is going to end. Do I know when and why and where? No, but it's going to end. And there's a quote in the Course that says the world, I may not be getting this quite right, but it says something like this, is weary because it can never be real. And I'll add my own little thing, and it's just tired of trying. Okay.
Just what?
Just tired of trying. You know, we all in the world. I don't know that you feel this. I feel that, but I do. I feel like, well, there are lots of things I really like in the world. I just wish it was perfect. You know, there are things that get in the way, but I wish it was. I think that unconsciously I have a fairly strong thrust in that direction. You want to go in and cure it and fix it, and then you find something wrong with your cure and your fix because somebody else's mind thinks you're causing more problems, you know. And so the Course says, don't try to fix the world. I believe it. Yeah, I know it says, I'm not sure it says that, by the way, but I know it says don't try to fix people.
Seek not to change the world.
Yes.
Okay, well, I felt it said that as well, but it does. And that includes people. And even if you don't like the Course, you learn from common living that you don't need to fix other people. They don't like being fixed. If you haven't learned that, you just haven't lived quite long enough or something. I'll wish you more years. So it doesn't, do you still know someone who thinks that he or she can fix other people? Well, I suppose there are people who kind of believe that and act on that basis. But if you just ask them outright, I think they would say no. But again, there are all kinds of people. So I'm saying if it's not real, you certainly can't fix it. Do you think you can fix Bugs Bunny? Or the cow that was it the coyote? The fox. It was a fox that was trying to kill the ugly coyote. Isn't that right? And he always tried to kill him, and he never worked. Can we? Was
Roadrunner.
oh, that's right. I got that. Thank you very much. I knew it was out there.
We know what you like, Jim.
It was the coyote that was trying to kill the roadrunner. Isn't that right? Yeah. We think we could fix the coyote. Well, the roadrunner thought he could. The coyote thought he could fix the roadrunner, but his plans always went awry.
Fell awry.
Didn't work. So it can never be real. So you can't fix the world. And Dan, you gave me a quote. What was it now?
Seek not to change the world.
Yeah, I'm going to put that up here. but you can change the way you look at it.
But change your mind about it.
So that's what you need to, if you want to change your mind. Because it is at this level, mind level, that it is from that level that everything occurs. So when you see the world, don't be having problems. Don't be drawn into that. You're just looking at nothing and making it a bigger nothing. It's nothing. It's not real. I'm not saying you don't see it. Well, or hear it, because we have perception now, and that's why we perceive. We perceive. We perceive with our senses and see the world, but you don't want to be pulled in. I would suggest that you not be pulled into that. It's usually not fun. Even if it is fun, don't do it. Don't be pulled into it. You can enjoy if it's something pleasant. It's certainly fine to enjoy. There's nothing wrong with enjoyment, but don't get attached to it. It's the attachment that makes the difference. So if you're going on a good ride and the roller coaster is going up, oh, this is kind of neat. It's getting high. I like it. That's fun. I can see so many things. Don't get attached to that, because in a minute it's going to go down and it feels totally different. Of course, you may like that as well. I don't know. Seek to change your mind about the world. So that's all that you were given, as I see it, that we were given an opportunity to do last week. Seek to change our mind about the world. It cannot be perfected. No matter how much you might want it to be. Maybe you don't think about perfection. Well, that's too much. Yeah, but you want to get better and better and better. And what are we doing? We're just walking toward perfection. You might as well notice what the goal is. The goal is you want it to be perfect, and it will never be perfect. That's why it's going to end. The world will end. Now, there's one thing wrong with this statement as far as the course is concerned. It already has.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a replay. Now, to say that the course actually will say that time will end, but hey, if there's no time, there's no world. So we don't know how peacefully or violently the world will end. Who knows? Will it go easily into the darkness or whatever, or will it go through upheavals of all sorts? I don't know that. But we are more challenged by big upheavals than by little stuff. We would like for the world just kind of quietly give up. Yes, it's time to end. But the course says that's not what happened. It said dreams, this is my understanding. We're dreaming about it now. And when we say it's ended, it doesn't mean that I don't have perception of the clock over there. I can see what time it is, and the clock's not saying it's over, it's saying it's 12 o'clock. But my understanding is that this is a dream that we're having about a time that is already over. So all this stuff did occur, but it ended. And if dreams are perception, and this is another quote, dreams are perceptual temper tantrums. A temper tantrum is what you have when you're mad. And so I have the idea that when the time the world it already has, our reaction was, no, it has not. Watch this, and we keel over into a coma and redo it. We got really powerful minds, and just rerun it with various variations, no doubt. But no matter how we dream about it, it's going to never be perfected. And it's not even the goal to which we need to be striving. The goal is to change your mind. The whole thing, your whole challenge here is changing your mind about how you see it. That is your challenge, or my challenge. It's not to run out there and change all the structures of the world. I don't know how to do that. If I did, somebody would dislike it and somebody would like it. You know what? It's not going to be perfect. To be perfect, it had to be perfect for everybody, wouldn't it? what would that mean? You're just not gonna, laws are needed in society and civilizations, but they're never gonna be perfect. Nobody's gonna like every law you make. I don't care how good a job or careful you are at making a law. Somebody is not gonna like it. Mainly the guy that broke it and is in jail. He didn't like it, even if everybody else did. You like laws being applied to other people. You don't really want them applied to you, you know. And so you have laws, and laws are not perfect things. They don't take everything into account. One law applies to all these different situations. It's not possible. And so that's why the world, because it can't be real. That's why it will end, and actually it already has. I would encourage you to practice. So what I suggest, the little illustration or visualization that I try to put in my mind when this seems to be going up in flames or whatever, is I say what I want my mind to do instead of going horizontal. You know, the horizontal represents the physical changes in the world. Vertical represents spiritual, and the Course tells us that we need to be switching from horizontal perception to vertical perception. That's what it means to spiritual perception, and stop believing everything you see as true and real because it's actually not real. Okay, well then let's switch. What I like to think of is that I am going as I view things. Let's say I'm mind C. This is my mind. A, B, C. And instead of looking at this and trying to decide who I like or who I don't like, I want my mind to go in between both, touching neither. And so imagine this as a shaft of light. Your mind needs to be a mind of holiness, holy light, untouched by this or that, untouched by these things. You're sort of aware of it, you know, it's happening, but paying no attention, and you go into, and this is the light. This is just a shaft of white, holy light. And it cannot be touched by these things. It just goes through and blesses as it goes, and asks to be truly helpful if there's some way to be truly helpful. No differently than you would on any other day, you see. So we don't really have to be so sensitive to the size of the challenge. It's just normal and natural that big challenges are big challenges for us. You know, they were more tempted to want to fix the world or help it some way, in our way, whatever that might be. And this is the time when you want to say, no, I'm just going through this. I will not be touched by this except as directed by the Holy Spirit, if you can be helpful. But like if you're still watching it on television, you can't help that situation. Hey, you're not there. Even if you were there, you couldn't help it. But the world needs what you have to bring. This is not the standard way to look at it. The standard way to look at it is decide whose side you're on and then jump in with them and fight the other side. That has to go. That's not a spiritual solution ever. You don't take sides. Even if it's what if it's the right side? I only take the right side. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You just don't take sides. If you do, you've got one step. You've made one step in the direction of, there you go. That's the first step. That's the first step. You don't. Good parents sort of know this, I think. Well, I don't know whether they do or not. Parenting is one of our biggest challenges. But two kids fighting, you know, and they're both your kids, let's say, I would suggest you not take sides. You just try to bring peace to the situation. Now, if you really think, that's not what I necessarily did. Sometimes I definitely thought one was in the wrong here. But what did I know? I've been told by my own children that at least on occasion, made the wrong assumption and punished the innocent one. It was really the girls that did that. And they said Michael did it, and he's the one that got punished. Well, what did I know? And so instead of worrying about fixing this, there will be plenty of people that will try to fix it. So not to worry about that. But instead of adding your concern or energy to that, you move through it. Because if you don't, you're making it real to you. If you add your energy to it, even at the level of preference, there's no need to do that. See, the underlying pull to make the world perfect is going to say, well, you at least ought to choose to figure out which is on the right side of it here. At least do that. No, that's just practice. If you're walking on a cliff, you don't want one foot going over. Just keep both of your feet on the path. One foot go over, pretty soon the whole body's tumbling. You know, if you're not. Certainly can't have that.
Her hand up.
Oh, okay. Tamara has her hand up.
Well, I thought she did.
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
Gotta have a question now,
My
Tamara.
mistake,
Don't just
my
sit there.
mistake.
We thought you had it gonna fix the whole problem for us here.
I can't believe it. Tamara refusing to talk.
Well, she's taking what I say seriously.
Yeah,
She's not
she
commenting
is.
on either one. you
She
see.
is.
She agrees with you.
Yes, she does.
Isn't it a relief to know that you don't have to fix these ridiculous problems? Yeah. I don't know the answer anyhow. Why should I? I mean, if it was my job to fix them, I'd do the best I could, but I'm glad it's not. Now, your husband has to worry about stuff like that, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have had difficulty with people wanting to talk. I no longer watch the news because it
Yeah.
takes away my peace.
Yeah.
And so I don't do it. And when I have, but I still have people in my life who want to talk about one
Right.
side or the other.
Give more energy to
And
it.
yes, and I have to say, I don't watch the news. I don't know what happened last night or yesterday on the news. And that's a blessing. That's the way I get out of it.
That's a great, that's very useful, and I'm sure that works pretty well. Yeah. I watch the news and then I detach. Just detach and don't get concerned about it. Because I can't fix it. Well, number one, I'm not supposed to fix it. Number two, if I was, I can't. Don't know how. And
Can't.
even if I knew how, I wouldn't be able to achieve it. And even if I did fix it, it would still be broken in some way or other. Because it can't be real and it can't be perfected. So what we need to do, it seems to me, is to keep our mind filled with light. Your mind is real. It's just that it's got a problem right now. It's called the ego. But the mind is not going to be thrown away. That's not the heavenly solution. Oh, your mind is sick. Where's the trash can? That's not it. Your mind is sick. Oh, it needs to be healed. Let me help you heal it. That's what Jesus says in the Course. That's God's plan of salvation or atonement. And it has to do with correcting your perception. This is an aspect of correcting your perception. I refuse to look at it through this mind. I refuse to look at it through this mind. I put my mind in the light. And you say, well, you're just burying your head in the sand. That is so typical. And for me, for most of my life, I would have said the same thing. I would just accuse anybody doing that. You're just burying your head in the sand. No, I'm burying my head in the light. The light is real. You're saying the world is the sand. You're making that one making sand castles, and they will have the same destiny as anything else made in sand. It crumbles after a while. The wind blows and it's gone. I think the Course talks about that a little bit, saying, what have you ever made in the world that's really satisfied you? What structures have you built that haven't crumbled over time and deteriorated, and the vegetation hasn't claimed for its own again? And of course, they would do kudzu will grow over everything, Oh, but I don't know about, is anybody else this way? I so wanted the world to be real. It is the primary disappointment of my life, probably. that the world is not real, but I'm so glad it's not. Are we have a hand this time? Oh,
Yeah, I had a hand up. One of the things that I keep thinking about, so I figured I might as well bring it up, is the Course also talks about that God needs us to help save the world, but he's not talking about fixing it. When the Course talks about saving the world, it's not talking about fixing it. It's talking about, I guess, fixing our perception.
yeah,
Isn't it?
and helping other people do the same. Although you can't force them to change, but you can, and that's why we need the help of the Holy Spirit. If it's up to me, I just want to come up and grab them by the shoulder and shake them, and I figure that will change their perception. Well, it won't.
Right.
Just make them mad at me. So I don't have to do that. But there are things we can do that are truly helpful. And truly helpful to me means as directed by Spirit. That's what the word truly means. I don't think we're here to be just helpful in any old random way. Because that means I'm determining what's helpful and what isn't. And actually, I don't know what's helpful for you. If you see somebody that seems to be having a problem, the first thing you say, well, what's bothering you? That's because you don't know. And he said, well, my arm's broken. Well, let's call 911 and come get an ambulance out here. So you did. And that would be a helpful thing to do if that person was unable to do that. But let Spirit direct you how to be helpful. There are some situations you just would walk away from. Because if you're really listening to Spirit, you would realize there's nothing I can do here. So I'm just walking away. And there are times we have to do that. We just turn and walk away from a particular job, from a particular upsetting problem with your family that, gosh, what's appropriate here? I have no idea. And you just simply walk away. Yeah.
I'm going to jump in there and say something silly.
Please,
too, probably.
please do.
Well, as far as asking somebody, what's wrong.
Right.
Something that that comes to my mind a lot, or what I've been sort of lived or trained to react or see, is that often the other person, and I may be the other person too, because you're asking yourself what's wrong, is you don't know how to say it or share it, but you stay open, to it and see different language or different signals that come to you at certain times, if you want to call them little miracles or something. But even, training as a nurse and an anthropologist, that sort of goes along with that. So with Mom in particular, we all know we're going through different phases in our life, and we know with my mom, she's going through a lot of body adjustment that we're dealing with, and we're moving forward. We got traction, and that's just a silly phrase to say because it doesn't really mean that much, but it's so amazing, when we step back and just kind of, instead of go in there and do so much or all, and she shows us things, tells us things that she knows she's telling us or showing us, but many times does not. And I know I'm talking really crazy, but here's a very practical, obvious thing. We all know that Mom loves to feed the raccoons, which is in the yard, which is illegal. And we're helping her with that a little bit, but it's a routine in the evening, bread and bananas, and Dad has been doing that more. And Mom has been doing it a little bit lately. But she got very pissed at me because I put it in this gigantic black tray that we had on the porch to kind of contain the mesh, and stuff. And it was working most of the time. And Mom, oh no, can't do that. And Dad is calming her and saying, no, it's good. But there's a balancing thing with her trying to do too much at this point. So anyway, we just, Dad and I think we're right, and we're doing it our own little approach, not sort of really attacking her, but just kind of like, okay. And what we find, she didn't want it in there because, you know, all of the raccoons, there's about, you know, 5 of them that come regularly, 4 babies. They can't all get in there, which they can. But her point is that she wasn't saying it right. She was like, the point was, is the raccoons all don't want to be close together. They need to spread out on the deck to get their food. And I said, Mom, you just said it. We didn't understand. You said in a different way than what we. And so I just went out there and dumped everything out of the black tray. And that was
the
just
solution.
put a gigantic smile on her face. That is sort of it's kind of a very immediate sort of very basic practical thing, but you know, it was just something so simple like that, you know, just kind of look and, you know, I don't know. You want to go in there? So anyway, I kind of put 2 things together. Okay.
Well, you were listening,
Yeah.
I think.
I just have a question.
Oh,
Why is it illegal to feed a raccoon? I never heard of that.
because you're feeding wildlife. My grandpa, her dad even went to court because he fed a stray dog, and that's illegal. He was feeding hot dogs. It's
You
like,
can't feed wildlife? I just never heard of this.
well, it's not for yeah.
It's not good for them.
But
It isn't good for them.
we do.
Normally.
So like if I go to the duck pond, I can't feed duck food to them? That's,
Yeah, but I think what she's referring to and what I think the law states is something about is table scraps, things you would eat off of.
no, that's not good for them.
No, it isn't. That's my understanding, but I
Oh,
don't
well,
know.
but I mean, if I were to get raccoon food, if there was such a
Oh,
thing.
yes.
A lot of our food is not good for us either,
Right, I mean, I guess-
But we eat it.
but we eat it anyhow.
That's a
But
great
I eat it
thing.
anyhow.
And the animals don't keep us from doing it, you know, they let us do it.
I've never heard of
This is what I've enjoyed this week. My husband had gone in to work on something at one of the houses, and these children often are between mom and dad, swapped off, whatever. That's the what is. And this new child in this household, and my husband walks in and says, and the child runs up to him and I said, I'm cold, I can't touch you. And the kid looked at him and said, well, I'm not, and I'm touching you.
Oh.
When they see a problem, I think what pleases me about that is I wish I could see a problem like that. That's so simple. He wanted somebody to hug and touch.
Right.
And he was gonna do it, not just, I just thought, as we're talking about these
Yes.
problems, if we could just simplify.
Be loving.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and, yeah. And whomever has been with this child has taught it to be loving, because when I go in, he crawled up in my lap immediately,
Oh,
so. And
that's
it's
great.
wonderful, thank you, God, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
grateful for this child.
Yes.
Well, it always pays to take a moment and say, what is going to bring peace here? And instead of using the time-worn remedy that you're used to, which maybe works most of the time, but might not work in that particular, it's thinking of what was just explained to us about feeding the raccoons. There are better ways that work better for the raccoons, and there are ways that don't work so good for them. At any rate, if you avoid going here, you guarantee your safety. Only your own thoughts can hurt you. See, so you're dealing with your thoughts at this point. Many people don't realize that, so they go here and get pulled into this. And what really tends to happen there is that you get to see what their idols are. You see, and the Course says you don't want to make idols if you can. It's not a good idea. An idol is something that replaces God for you in your life. And it's something to which you give your power. Give your power away to your idol. If you want to give your power away, give it to God. Jesus is okay too, you know, but our Holy Spirit. Don't give it to another ego. Even if he or she is a religious teacher. If you see a smidgen of ego in there, I would not give any power to him at all. I've already got an ego. I don't need to be attached to somebody that has more ego. I don't need that. Jesus doesn't have one. You can give as much power away to Jesus as you want. There is no problem, because at the spiritual level, we're the same. And you not having an ego, he's not going to do anything that will harm you or send you away from the light. He will just help you in that direction. But there are many that don't do this, and they make idols, you see, of one thing or another. I kind of get the feeling that humanity likes idols. It's kind of like something they like to have on the table, like bread and butter. I mean, they like the idols. Why do you root for a football game? Our team, you idolize your, maybe that's pushing it a little bit. I don't, not necessarily, depends on I guess the fan. Some of them get pretty worked up over one thing or another. And so, yes.
Those are just beliefs. We all have them and we're addicted to them. What are our beliefs as opposed to experience and knowing in a deeper kind of way, I think.
Right. And they can get in their way of doing that. We get so caught up and idols could, I think that what the course says about that is that the idols are going to disappoint you. And every time you weep, an idol of yours has fallen. There's some quote to that effect.
Like religion versus spirituality.
Yeah.
One's belief based and the other is more than that.
Yeah. Well, and the other doesn't say I have the final answer for you. Hopefully I'm going toward my final answer. But what I like, one of the things that really benefits me the most is to know that I don't know what y'all's journey is. And I can't give it. I cannot supply it for you. I do not know. So my job is to, as best I can, follow my path, go forward on my journey. And encourage you to let Spirit, I do know who should be directing the journey, but I can't judge you for not doing it. That's your business. And where you are on that path is up to you, not to me. And I can't help you directly. You see, all we can do is to speak the truth, offer love and light, and ask Spirit, how can this be truly helpful? So I can put it in the right form. It needs just to be in a little basin or just thrown out on the porch. You don't know. But what for me, the answer is what makes you feel peaceful. I really believe that. And I try to use that. If it doesn't feel peaceful, I've just stepped in the wrong direction. If it feels soft and mushy, and it's round and brown, I'm out in the pasture, I know what I stepped in. And it's the wrong direction. I really didn't want to step there, So make use of that. It's a simple idea. The Course says something like, how can you tell whether you're on the steps to heaven or the tunnel to hell, something like that. He says, well, is peace in your awareness? That's how you tell. That's how you tell. It really does work. That could be thought of as the seventh sense, your sense of peace. And it will direct you. The other senses don't. The five senses and sometimes some people who have a sixth sense, I'm not sure what intuition. Maybe instead of calling it the seventh, maybe I should have called it the sixth. It doesn't really matter. But that extra sense that you have of peace needs to be developed. And even in little things, if it doesn't feel peaceful to push the lawnmower, one more push forward, stop. Maybe you're about to have a heart attack, or maybe there's a snake there. I don't know. In other words, there can be reasons why you should stop mowing at that place, not 1 foot more. I don't know. You don't have to drive this into the ground. Like I said, well, I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit whether I should brush my teeth tomorrow morning. Forget that. Just do your regular things. And what the Course says is this: if you will just ask Spirit to direct your thoughts and actions through the day when you first get up in the morning, he said, be content. He will do this. You don't have to continue repeating it all the time. Yeah.
What does the Course say about light? I'm really taken and fascinated by light.
Well,
So-
he says we're created by light and
Okay.
in light. I think of light as having being connected. I think it's what love creates with. It isn't, must be an energy. And love creates with light. And I think we're beings of light. And that would be not spiritual light, I guess you might say, but it'd be kind of, it illuminates and it's intelligent. That's the difference. We don't think of a light beam as being intelligent. But this is, we need to go a little bit beyond physical light there to think about that. It's like a being of light, and it is intelligent, and it is it is connected to the creator. It is not cut off or separate from the creator. And so, and it is delightful. And it only knows joy. It's only going to act out of love. And that is light. But evidently it's still, and I believe that it would be appropriate to say that's what the Course means when it says spirit. You're a spirit of light. And that is perfect, and it cannot be improved upon, nor can it be harmed. But the mind can be deceived. And so that's what we're involved with here. Oh, and I wanted to remind you again of what you need, what I think would be good for you to say, use your own judgment. But when you're concerned about the pandemic or political craziness, whatever, and that is say, I am not, what is that? I'm only under the laws of God. Did I say that right?
Mhm. I am under no laws.
There,
but
I knew I was off a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm under no laws but God. That's very important because, but it requires something of you. It requires that you believe the only purpose of the world is for the healing of your mind, not for jumping into political phrase or any other kind of, or football phrase or religious wars or anything else. You need to keep your mind holy. Holy means connected to God or with God, it seems to me. And if you do that, the Course says you are no longer under the world's laws of violence and death. It's just a flat out statement here. You do that, you're not under that, period. You're under no laws but God. You're walking through just a morass of COVID-19 people. They're all over the place. They're the walking dead almost, you know, I mean, it's just everywhere. You're under no laws but God. Just as truly there as if you were out in the field and nobody else was around. That is what applies. Now, and it's, but the ego is going to tell you otherwise. So just keep that in your mind. You're under no laws but God, if that is your choice. And it can be your choice unless you decide that the world has another purpose. It has a purpose. Political stuff's always supposed to work right. So is religious stuff. So is my football team supposed to always win. All that, whatever. You're giving the world another purpose, you see. So if you refrain from that, you're under no laws but God's. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.